What, like I have a whole like Comic-Con thing with just me?
Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool. Do people dress up like me? Do they all have to wear a soul patch?
Welcome to In Moderation,
the show where we give you a moderate dose of info, sarcasm, and we already know we're not approved.
You want to get started here, Rob? Or are you just going to turn this whole episode into, movie talk and celebrities? It'll probably do better if we just talked about celebrities this whole time. This episode will probably do better. Hey, everybody, welcome to In Moderation, where we're redirecting from nutrition and fitness, and it's all celebrities now. We're chasing out to no end.
We've gone from a subject I know about to something I know absolutely nothing about.
Tell us all about the Canadian celebrities. Rob, what are your favorite Canadian celebrities?
My favorite Canadian celebrity. Okay.
Sitting thinking like, oh shit.
Yeah. You know what? David Usher is one of the most underrated. I'm sorry if I know we were talking about movies, but underrated musicians.
David Usher.
Usher. Not to be confused with Usher.
Right. I know Usher. I know that. I know him. I don't know David Usher. I got to be honest. No idea.
Well, he's a brilliant musician.
Okay, well, you should have said the answer I was looking for was Ryan Reynolds was the answer. Is the best celebrity.
Shit, I got it wrong. Oh.
I wouldn't have accepted Justin Bieber, but that at least would have been well known. I mean, come on. Somebody messaged me today and said, I realize who you sound like, Ryan Reynolds. And I was like, that's like the nicest compliment. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Anyway, Natalie, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, we've heard all your questions and your requests for more carnivore-based content. So we decided to bring on a strict carnivore. Natalie, what is your favorite cut of steak? What would you say is like the bee's knees of steak cuts?
I just like to put all of it in a blender and drink it through a straw.
That's primal. That's what our ancestors did. They plug it into the tree outlet. And they blend that shit up and they drink it like a real man, alpha or something.
Exactly. Because, we don't actually have like the right teeth for it, but we're made to eat meat. So blenders, evolutionary.
Oh, that's another good one. Okay, we'll get into that in a second because I do love that. We have canines. We're supposed to eat only meat. Fucking wild, man. But anyway, okay, how about fine, actually introduce yourself and tell us about, who you are.
Yeah. So I'm Natalie Fox. I'm a registered dietitian. I have a lot of specialties that I've picked up over the years. I feel like a lot of dietitians who are in the social media space are the same. One of them is plant-based eating. So I've personally been vegan for almost 11 years. However, I am not somebody who goes around telling people they should go vegan. So I'm here if people are interested to learn more about it. That's what I'm here for, but not necessarily the other. Although it's really funny because I think that whenever I talk about vegan stuff on my channel, which is not often, I get a bunch of people being like, oh, well, don't tell people what to do. And I was like, where in this video did I tell anybody to go vegan? I did not.
I think they're just used to that. As soon as, they're used to that sort of content.
They are. I'm like, sources of plant-based B12. And they're like, don't tell people to go vegan. And I was like, I'm just telling you what plant-based, where to get.
Yeah, right. You haven't paid me yet. I'm not going to tell you what to do.
Speaking of that.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Speaking of that, I wanted to do something. I like to go to something called Google. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's super cool. You can type into things and it just tells you stuff. So I Googled barriers to being vegan. And this is the AI response to that. And I would like to ask you some of these questions and then you can tell me. Okay. Let's see. Nutritional challenges. Nutrient deficiency. A vegan can lack nutrients like B12, iron, calcium, omega-3 fatty acids, and protein even. Wow. So what do we do about that?
Oh man. I mean, I would say a lot of it depends on people's diets. Like people treat vegan diets like they're this monolithic thing, like it's all one thing. Right. And they usually, I think, get that vibe from those influencers who eat nothing but like fruit and salads, which is just not a lot of people who are plant-based actually eat. Some do. They often aren't plant-based for a long time if they're doing that. But in general, I think a lot of where the concern for nutrition adequacy comes from is theory, and it's not actually evidence that there are higher deficiency rates in most cases. There are some exceptions to that. Because they're like, okay, well, what nutrients are really predominant in animal products? And you're taking that out, so therefore there must be a nutrient of concern. And they're not really realizing that, well, we eat other things and more of things than other people don't eat. So when you're actually looking at data, there's not a lot of evidence that plant-based people have higher rates of anemia. There's not, I mean, some studies show a little bit, but it's really not that different in terms of those kinds of risks. But in general, I would say most of those are not necessarily a nutrient of concern across the board among plant-based diets. B12 is absolutely one, though.
Right.
So
yes,
people who are plant-based should absolutely be taking a B12 supplement or eating a lot of fortified foods. I do recommend people who are plant-based to periodically get B12 levels checked to make sure that their method of supplementation is adequate for them.
Makes sense.
So that's one. I like to do
my method of supplementation would be energy drinks.
Tons of B vitamins. Yeah, it's jam packed. It looks impressive on a label. I'll tell you this: when you're like new to the gym and you like pull out an energy drink and it's like B12, 80,000% of what you need. You're like, holy shit, this is gonna be so much energy, and it's just like every B12 or every B vitamin. Yeah. It looks impressive. Oh, man.
Absolutely. Iron can be. It just depends on what your diet is. A lot of them are that. Again, omega-3 can be.
Right.
It just depends on what your diet is.
Is it because like so you take someone who's like an omnivore and they decide like, okay, I've heard being vegan is like the healthiest thing I can do or whatever, and so they decide to do that. And so when they switch to a plant-based diet, they basically just remove the meat and don't really change anything else. So they just eat more of like the few things they were eating before. So it's not their diet maybe isn't as well rounded. Like they're not eating lentils and all these other things that have protein. So I feel like that could be
I would say that's true. So like I've done a lot of different things in my career, but I did work for a plant-based program for a while, and a lot of people were coming to it and they'd been trying it and maybe failing it. And I would say the number one struggle that people have, and this is like, people say, I had no energy, and they think it's protein. And they weren't eating enough protein, but they're also just like not eating enough, period, because they're just taking, they're not eating enough food. And I'm like, they're trying to chase the protein and still not eating enough food and still not feeling great. So then they think it's the quality of the protein when it's just, if you're having a big bowl of lettuce, putting a little bit of tofu on that lettuce is still not going to be enough like energy specifically. But that's it. They take the meat out and then it's just like vegetables and maybe rice. And that's kind of what it looks like. Or oatmeal, but they're having like a packet of oatmeal and it's just people are massively under consuming. And if you're not eating enough, you're going to feel like shit.
And that's the thing. It's like people always say like, oh, I went carnivore, I lost weight with this. You go like any of these diets, you just like, you're left with these things. You're like, okay, I just ate less food, and I mean, I think it has changed a little bit over time. Like, 20 years ago, if you go vegan, your options were a lot more limited than now, where you have a lot of the vegan alternatives. At least you can have those as an option. You get like, I love, like the pastas, like the bonza, like chickpea pasta and stuff like that. I feel like it makes it at least a little bit easier.
Totally. Yeah. There's lots of options. There's also a lot of, I think, and maybe this is just the sphere that I run in, but there's a lot more creators who are making recipes that are not like, here's how to turn your pasta, like make pasta out of zucchini. They're actually making like legit nourishing, filling, like there's more dietitians in the space. Like Plant-Based RD is one of my absolute favorite content creators for plant-based recipes. Like
she's great.
Yeah. I'm not really a recipe person, but like every time I get in a food rut, I'm like, what is she doing these days?
I have one of her like tofu, like not scrambles, like crispy tofu, where you just like shred it up and put it in the oven and bake it. So I got to try that. I've been meaning to do that. I have her book around here somewhere.
She does this like breaded tofu like cutlet thing with like panko that it's my favorite. I love it.
There it is. I knew I had the book somewhere. I got it. I know. I'm trying to plug her book because she's great. I bought that with my own money. She doesn't even know I have it, but I'm gonna get around things anyway. But people always, but I do want to talk about protein a little bit because you and I did like a little collab on like plant-based protein sources, but it's something I just get asked about like so much. People are like, hey, I'm trying to eat more protein, but I don't want it all to be, tuna fish or whatever, right? So like, maybe just go through some of the ones that you really like, you think are easy to, or you find are easiest to get people to incorporate into their diet, or like what people have success with, that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, beans are a classic. There's so many ways to eat beans. A lot of people don't know what to do with beans. I think that's been my experience. They're just like, okay, I'll put it out on a can and dump it on whatever, and it doesn't necessarily strike. So pre-seasoned beans are great.
Yes.
If you're not sure, getting a good spice blend that you like is great. A lot of people forget that condiments exist. Like, throw some barbecue sauce on it. Throw some sriracha on it. What would you normally season your non-plant-based food with? You can put that on beans, and that will taste really good. So that's the classic.
The Bush's sidekicks. I'm telling you, those Bush's sidekicks. Have you ever seen go to like the Bush's beans? They have these ones, and there's just a bunch of different. There's a few different flavors. I like them all. Yeah, the pre-seasoned one. Just make it so much easier because I'm lazy.
Let's not make it nuts. I think a lot of people, not to go on a little tangent, but I think a lot of people when they're trying to eat healthier, they're like everything has to be from scratch, including the sauce.
Man.
And I'm like, oh, but like,
fuck that.
You're making it hard.
I'm not doing
that. That's part of the wellness, though, is that you have to make everything from scratch.
And it's got to be
I mean, if you enjoy doing that, if that's your hobby, like that's my hobby. I like doing that, but that's not everybody's hobby. Not everybody builds their career around food like I did. So, so beans are great. Any kind of soy product is also great if you don't obviously have a soy allergy. So, tofu, tempeh, edamame, all of those are great. Tofu is super, love those.
The only bean, the dry, I talk about them all the time, dry roasted edamame. The company contacted me.
Edamame,
and they were
a banging snack. It's so good.
Yeah, the only bean contacted me. They're like, we're just starting to work with influencers. I'm like, you can talk with me all day. Like, I'm good. I love this stuff. It's actually good. They make pasta as well. The pasta on its own, not as good, but like mixed in with other pasta, it's good. Like, it's just an easy way to get more protein and fiber. I love it.
Totally. Tofu. I would say that like, cooking tofu. If you're not familiar with tofu and you just try to eat out of the package,
what do you do? What do you like? What's an easy like way for people that actually is like they might actually like tofu? Like, what do you think?
Yeah. So for me, the three ways. Well, I would say the two ways that I make tofu the most is one. I will just crumble it into whatever I'm making, like into a soup, into pasta sauce, into something. I just take it I get the super firm tofu, like the kind that comes in like the shrink wrapped container, not the Tetra Pak. And I crumble it up with my hands until it's little bits. This is great because I don't have to dirty a knife or a cutting board to do that. So it's like low effort. And I just put it into whatever I'm doing. Like I'll put it into like miso soup and it incorporates. So especially if the texture of tofu is like an issue, which I think that's another one of the things that people don't like about tofu is the texture. You're not really going to get the texture. If you like the texture of, grounds of whatever, ground meat, or you like the texture of egg or something like that, that's kind of what it's going to be like. So that's an easy way, and then you don't have to worry about flavoring. It's going to taste like whatever you're eating. So that's a good one. The other way I like to do it, and you actually, Liam, did a video on doing this recipe, and that's where I got the idea. I was like, oh, that looks good. I need to try it. And now it's like the only way I make tofu. It was, I think, a Fit Green Mind recipe where she like put it in cornstarch and then she pan fried it and then she like put it in a hot pan and then did the sauce.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite like recipe reviews I did. Like, and what was really nice about it is you just tear it because normally you like chop it up into cubes. But I find tearing it gives it more surface area. I'm not a mathologist, but like I think the surface area increases and like it just contacts the pan more and like it gives you more of a crunch, which I think a lot of people were missing with tofu, were just kind of this like blob. They're like, I don't like it.
Well, and I think that the sauce kind of like penetrates and you get more sauce in it. It collects the sauce better. Because I've tried to do similar stuff with cubed tofu and it just straight up doesn't work as well. Now, I don't like standing over a pan and babysitting stuff, so I don't usually pan fry it. I put it on parchment paper in the oven so that I can forget about it and make the other parts of the meal. And I do it that way. And then like once it's already like all cooked, then I put it in like a dry pan. and I do it that way. And I
What are
find that
your
the texture,
what are sauces? What are the necessary things for a sauce for you? Like when it comes to tofu, because I think that's like the most for me. That's like the most important thing when it comes to tofu. Because again, it's just like bland. To me, it's bland. I don't really taste much, so it needs like some sauce. What do you put in your sauces?
Yeah. So my absolute favorite go-to sauce, and I'll say I do make this myself, but you could totally buy like a store-bought like teriyaki kind of sauce and do it that way. But in my mind, a good sauce, and this is true across the board, it needs to have something that's salty, it needs to have something that's sweet, and it needs to have something that's sour in order to be a good sauce. So a lot of times, like my base sauce is if it's more of like an Asian style something, it's like soy sauce, rice vinegar, a little bit of maple syrup, and then I add hot sauce. And I might add some like veggie broth to thin it out if it's too like, if I want to extend it, or I might squeeze orange juice in it. Like I might change it up, but like that's the base. It's just soy sauce. Oh, and sesame oil, because sesame oil makes everything taste better.
I was gonna say it needs an oil the sesame oil is really good. I really like the chili crisp that comes in the oil.
Yeah.
That's when I like spice. So if you don't like spice, don't do that. But if you're a heat person, get the like chili crisp, or like I don't know. I did that like Matthew McConaughey where he's like jalapeno crisp. And now I've got like 6 jars of fucking jalapeno crisp sitting around here somewhere that I'm like, I got to use this. So like, something crispy and it's spicy and it adds a bunch of flavor. So like throw some of that in there if you can find it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of like how I think about everything in this. But that will transition over to like non-Asian based sauces as well. So if I'm thinking about, I'm going to make a vinaigrette. So yeah, I would say there should be a fat in there as well. So I put that in there, but flavor-wise, it's the sour, sweet, and salty. So then if I'm making like a vinaigrette, it'll be like either balsamic vinegar or apple cider vinegar, a different type of vinegar, and then something sweet. So that could be juice. That could be, again, maple syrup is my personal sweetener of choice. I live in Maine, and we're just maple syrup.
Yeah, right. It's good. I mean, maple syrup, like real maple syrup is fucking, that shit's good.
Yeah, I have some in my fridge right now that my friend tapped and like made. So it's like just chef's kiss, so good. So and then maybe I'll do tahini in there for the fat, or you can use olive oil, or I love to use the oil that comes in like marinated artichoke hearts for dressings, because it adds so much flavor. So that could be a good one. And then salt or mustard or something like that. So it's like I'm just always thinking what's sour, what's salty, what's sweet in a sauce.
I think adding the fat is definitely key. Like it really just helps out the flavor a lot. I see a lot of it's tough. Like, okay, fat's 9 calories per gram, right? They're totally. Yeah. I get it. They're more calorie dense. And when you're trying to lose weight, people are trying to eat healthier. Often they are also trying to lose weight. Not always, but a lot of times they are. So they reduce the fats really low. And then you end up with these sauces that just taste like shit. Have you ever had like Skinny Girl fucking dressing where it's just like xanthan gum and like, all these different emulsifiers? Like they're totally fine. Whatever. Like I'm not saying you're trying to do, but it doesn't taste, it tastes fucking sad. Like emptiness. It tastes like emptiness. That's the best way I can describe it. Fat really gives it, you don't have to go over the top, but like, Jesus, add a little bit of the sesame oil, like the oil from other things, whatever, just something. Add some of that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, my philosophy with that is, because again, calorie density is a thing, is my philosophy with oil, because I would say that I probably cook with less oil than a lot of people do. And it's not for like a health scare, like oil is bad. It's not for that reason. But like the way I think about it is the oil adding pleasure and vital to the flavor and the texture of what I'm making? Because there are times where it is and there's times where it isn't. So like if I'm making a soup, for example, and I'm sauteing veggies in the bottom of my soup, and then I'm going to drown that in broth and I'm going to add a bunch of other stuff, like I'm not going to know whether or not the oil's there. I mean, it's negligible anyway. But for me, it's like that's not adding it. If it's a dressing though, like if I was going to take a dressing and I had sesame oil versus no sesame oil, I'm not, it is not going to be as good. Like it's, so like, when I'm thinking about, and this kind of goes back to like my viewpoint on moderation, because I think that a lot of people, they're still viewing the idea of moderation from an inherently restrictive framework, where it's like I'm always getting that question of, but how much is too much? But how much is too much? But how much is too much? How much can I get away with? I want a number on where I need to stop. And that's still controlling it from like an area of restriction. And I think a lot of people, because we were talking about plant-based nutrition, but right now, like, if you go to my page, most of what I talk about is binge eating and ADHD. That's where I spend a lot of my time now, not plant-based stuff. I think it's just, you got to think about everything that you do as being a dance. how can I feel as good as I can without feeling deprived? And that line is going to be different for every single person. You know, and it's like, it shouldn't be about at what point do I need to start controlling? It should be, oh, okay, how am I feeling? Because you can control till the cows come home and end up with a quote unquote perfect diet. But if you're miserable and you're having all these compensatory reactions where you're craving and you're having shame spirals and you're having all of these issues, that's not necessarily healthful for you specifically. So like the answer to inner moderation, like what is moderation? And I think oils is such a good example of that because, you know, that point is different for everybody is, you know, if cutting back on oil helps you feel better, then that's not a bad thing to do. But there's not a cutoff point to this is too much oil. It's just where are you going to enjoy what you're doing so much that it's easy to do every day and you don't want to stop and you're feeling good. And that it takes negotiation to figure that out. There's not one right answer.
Is that kind of your advice for like most, and you know, obviously you said oil, but like, I feel like it's pretty good advice with most things. You're just like, you know, find along that line, try different things. And at one point where you're like, oh, fuck this. No, I'm not going to be able to stick to this for the rest of my life. So it's just not worth it. Right.
Well, absolutely. And I think that the other part too is at what point is my brain going into panic mode? Because what I find, and again, one of the many hats I have worn in my career is in diabetes care. And I think with diabetes, the thought is the best amount of sugar is 0 sugar when it comes to diabetes. Yeah. Right. And that's the dogma that I think a lot of people are riding with. The best amount of carbs I could have would be as close to 0 carbs as possible. But I find that and this is kind of how I got into the topic of binge eating initially, is I found that a lot of people, when they were striving for that, ended up binging and having way more sugar than they would have if they just had a little bit every day. And so like I've had a few clients that I've worked with who, you know, had, you know, really high A1Cs, were on insulin and were just struggling. They're like, this is serious. Like I need to get this under control. And then just saying like, okay, how about we have intentional dessert every day, full sugar, whatever. And they just stopped binging. And all of a sudden their diabetes, like they stopped needing to take insulin. Their numbers got better. Like, you know, things got back into control. And it's like, sometimes it's like, you have to compare what is the quote unquote ideal with what is the real lived experience that you are having when you are trying to chase that ideal.
I absolutely
I get where people are coming from.
That, so of course I'm a little biased because I love the study, but where they took children and they had the one group of children where there was a table full of candy and they were not allowed to touch it unless they were told that they could go take one. Or take some. And when they were told, they would just go and they would binge the ever-loving fuck out of that table. And then there was the other group of children where they were allowed to approach the table, have candy whenever they wanted. And they would go up and they would have one piece and then they would go back to playing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, like I think that principle for a lot of people is huge. It's that, okay, we're going to reduce the scarcity that we have around these foods. And not make it like a situation where, you know, you're having to exert so much effort to avoid it that it's all that you can think about all the time. And also that I think when people are in an environment of scarcity, it elevates the value of those foods. So when they do have an opportunity, it's like, this is my last time I'm going to have this. So starting tomorrow, we're not doing this anymore. So I'm going to have as much as I can. Yep. And there's something super powerful about saying, okay, I'm going to give myself permission to include these foods, and I'm going to be curious about what my brain does with that. And I'm going to try to support myself in a positive way as opposed to control myself. And I think that's so scary for a lot of people to lean into that. But I have seen again and again and again with a lot of the clients that I work with that when they do that, when they actually commit to that, it's like people who have had challenges with food for years and years and years and years, in like a week or two of just giving themselves unconditional permission, find that like the amount that they're binging just plummets. Like they feel comfortable. They can actually think about when they want to have these foods as opposed to being like so wrapped up into it's available now. It's only going to be available now. So I have to have all of it now. It's more like, do I want this now? Because I could have it tomorrow if I wanted to, you know, like it's just such a different environment mentally.
I went shopping yesterday and I was able to walk past the chips and be like, you know what? I had chips recently. I don't really feel like buying chips.
I get where people are coming from though, because the amount of
Totally.
videos I've gotten tagged in where they're usually walking and they're yelling. That's typically the way, like, I'm not picking on them, but there's like, I've had enough. This is it. I've been unhealthy so long. Now I'm taking control and I'm going to do everything right. I'm going to do this. I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to do this. I'm always going to do that. And I'm like, listen, I love the passion. That passion is so dope. Let's channel that. Maybe a little bit better though, because what you are saying is you are going to be perfect, and I promise you are not. If you strive for that, it's not going to work. And I think that the reason they think that is because it's kind of been pushed on us, because other videos I get tagged in, it's always like, if you're fat, why is that? Why are you so lazy? Why don't you just put in the effort? All you have to do is put in the effort like I do, and then you won't be fat. Like, that's the type of shit I see. So like that leads into these people going, yes, those people are right. And so I'm going to take control and do everything. And I'm like, let's just channel that shit a little bit better. And like you said, it's fine. You have, let's not completely restrict from this because that's going to go poorly. But let's make just some small improvements and give it time. Because damn, man. So I get where people are coming from. They want to do the right thing, but it's just it's misplaced, I feel like.
Absolutely. I think the other big thing is that when people are striving for perfection, there's two things that happen for people psychologically. One of them is that there's this kind of seductive idea that it's just about always making the right choice. If I can just say no, and that sounds so simple. It sounds so simple. It's just not, because your body's working against you, your mind's working against you, everything is working against you on that one. So, embracing that it is not just as simple as always saying no forever, because if that worked, that would have worked so far.
Yeah.
But the second one is when we're striving for perfection as opposed to striving for curiosity and trying to actually get in touch with what feels good, and having an open mind about what that landing place looks like, is the bar that people set for, like, they start categorizing a day as a good day or a bad day. And like, when I see a client, a lot of times I go, well, what does eating look like for you? And they'll be like, well, this is what a good day looks like for me, and this is what a bad day looks like for me. And the interesting thing is that when we're saying, all right, I'm going to have the energy, and starting tomorrow, everything's going to be perfect, is that our bar for a bad day is one thing going wrong. Like, our bar for a good day is everything going right to a T. And the issue is that if it's like, you had a really solid breakfast, you had a really solid lunch, you went out and you went for a walk, and that was awesome. And then you came back and, God forbid, had a cookie. And you're just like, I did it, today's a bad day. They had them at the
office. They had donuts and I had one. Well, fuck it. All right, the rest of the day is a wash.
Today is bad. And since
so we'll go tomorrow. We'll start again tomorrow.
Since this day is already labeled as bad, I might as well get my yayas out and have every single thing that I have possibly been craving. And then they start over the next day. And it's just like, well, we got to acknowledge that we're never going to be perfect human beings. Nobody is. None of us are. No one's going to be perfect. And any amount of something that you do that is supporting your body and your goals makes it a good day. We can't have the bar for a good day being absolute perfection, because we're just going to be stuck in a cycle.
We keep the bar on the floor here.
We talk about that a lot here. Bars on the floor. Let's walk over it, and then we can raise it a little bit. We can raise it like a tiny bit, and that's great. You did a little bit better. Shit. But in terms of I'm far from an expert on like binge eating, but from what I've seen from other creators who talk about it a lot, it does seem like what we've talked about a lot. I know like Eliza has started this, but like the eat what you want, add what you need sort of mentality, and just combining things helps out a lot where you have something you want, but instead of just going to town on it, like I just picked up some. Fucking A, man. I went to Costco and they're like, you want some, you want to try the new golden sriracha Doritos? Here's a 30-pound bag of them. You're going to have to carry them like one of those fucking giant bears you win at the fair, walk around that. I'm like, what is this? There's no way in hell I'm going to be able to finish these before they go stale. Like, give me in little packages. Anyway, that's my rant.
They're just assuming you bought them for the Super Bowl party.
For a family of like 13 minimum. Like it's the bag is massive. Anyway, so like, you know, it's like instead of just going to town on that, like, you know, you add the other things to it, right? You add like a vegetable, you add some fruit, you add some nuts, you add some other things that will aid in the satiety and, you know, add a little bit more nutrition. Have you seen that like helping people?
Oh yeah.
Have you ever tried that?
Oh, totally. And I think too, like, what I found is that when I'm working with clients, I think a big part of I think, improving a binge pattern, you got to start by improving the restriction pattern. That's like a big part of it. Like it's kind of letting all foods fit is so helpful, but it is so scary for a lot of people to do that, which makes total sense. And I think that the have what you want, add what you need is really helpful on a physiological level because it helps you feel full. It helps you not be restricted. Like on a functional level, I love it. But I think on a psychological level too, it helps people do that work. Because I think that it is really hard to kind of say, okay, I'm just going to blindly go into this and just, you know, keep a value pack of ice cream sandwiches in my refrigerator and see how it goes. Like that feels super scary. And saying, okay, I'm going to have that with something psychologically feels more like a plan. And I think that helps people. So I think it helps on multiple levels. I love that framework personally.
Yeah, because I'm always like with the binge eating, the ADHD, like I know you said you kind of work with that as well. Like I'm never sure. The comment I get a lot from people who say they deal with that is like, I just forget to eat. Like I eat like once like a day and I just like totally forget. And I'm like, I don't know what that's like because I eat all the time. Like I'm constantly eating. So I don't know how to help.
Yeah. Well, I feel like with ADHD, there's like two flavors. They're the people who don't eat all day and then they're just like all their nutrition is in like one go at the end of the day when their meds have worn off. That pattern can happen if people are unmedicated too. Or it's the people who are using food for stemming and they're munching all day.
Yep.
And it's kind of, it's one of the two usually. Yep. So, you know, if hunger is a part of it too, like I find that for a lot of people I work with ADHD, undernourishing during the day is a huge part of why they might binge at nighttime. I mean, there's a lot of other factors. It's never usually just that. But I've had a number of people with ADHD where it's like when we work on having breakfast and having lunch, or even if it's not like a meal, but like having more snacks during the day, if they're one of those people that doesn't eat all day, that the frequency with which they're binging at nighttime, it like drops like a rock. Like they might still do it because there's other factors, but it's huge. But it's also tricky to figure out how to do that. Like that takes a lot of troubleshooting to figure out how to make that not another item on their to-do list that already feels overwhelming.
Right.
So
yeah, that's tough.
You know, it's a balance.
Another item on their to-do list that feels overwhelming makes me think of you also post or reposted a video because I actually saw the first time you posted this. I know I did because I had it liked, but you reposted a thing on restraint collapse.
Yeah.
That really resonated with me, at least this time around. I guess maybe I was in a better place the first time I saw it. But I actually, after seeing your video, I actually was like, holy crap, this is me. I need to take a step back from what I'm doing because I'm pushing myself way too hard.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that resonated.
Yeah, fill me in. What's going on here? What are we talking about? Restraint collapse?
Yeah. So a lot of times, like I think a lot of people who are neurodivergent, there's a lot of, I mean, it can be masking. It can be just the way that your brain works. But I think there's a constant vacillation between go, get it all done, be productive. And then just absolutely, like I call it like turning into a burrito on the couch. Like you are just done. Like you are checked out. You have used all of your mental juice in trying to accomplish the things that you're trying to accomplish. And it takes so much more mental power, especially for people who are in a traditional work environment, because it's not just self-directed stuff. I mean, I don't know, it's both. Because I would say that like as a business owner myself, you know, there's also ways to like not have boundaries if it's your own business. Yeah. So, it's just, and I think that part of this vacillation between being all go and all stop is that there's this feeling with neurodivergence and ADHD in particular, that when you have a period of good focus, you have to take advantage of it and see it to its end because it's the only time you're going to be productive. And so that can happen on a daily basis. So I've seen these cycles happen, like the first part of the day is like super sucked in, and especially people on meds, that's like definitely a pattern, followed by absolute inability to function or do anything other than eat or use alcohol or substances or numb for the rest of the night. Or I've also noticed that this can happen on a weekly cycle where like Monday, Tuesday, they're like super clued in, and then they're struggling Thursday, Friday, and then they're burnt out. Like, it's just this thing.
And I also think there's the problem with the in society, we've got that ideal that if you're not doing well enough, then you're not working hard enough.
Yes, totally. And a lot of that feeling of like, I need to do as much as I can while I can do it, it comes from very real economic pressures that people have. Right. It's not like something that's in your head. Like, that pressure is absolutely real. And one thing that I like to visualize for people when they're trying to break this cycle and have a little bit more balance is like, like in video games. I think this is a very relatable way to talk about this. If you are sprinting, if your game character is sprinting and you use up your stamina bar, you have to you're slow for a while until that stamina bar gets to a certain point. Yeah. And I think people generally speaking, but especially people with ADHD, it's the same. If you use up all of your juice and you run it dry, you are gonna be in the mud for a bit until you recharge. And I think there's a couple of ways to think about managing that. One of them is to try to not hit that point. That is not feasible for everybody to do, depending on their job or the way their brain works. For me personally, that works great. Like, I think of how much I should do, and then I try to take off like 10% so that I don't hit that point. And my husband comes in and reminds me too.
That's what I've been working on, is not hitting that point and taking the step back and reprogramming my brain to say, it's okay, I didn't get this much done.
Yeah. Because in reality, like, not that this is the goal, and I don't want to get into like a toxic productivity standpoint with it, but if you are not hitting burnout, you will be able to hum along a lot better, and your productivity will be better, and your ability to do things mentally will be better.
And you'll enjoy what you're doing better.
Yes, absolutely. The other thing, because again, I worked with people where that is the demands of their job make that very challenging to do, is having acceptance around the fact that you have to recover and letting yourself actually do that. Because I think that a lot of times when people are getting into that recovery mode, they just beat up on themselves for not being able to do anything. And that sabotages their ability to recover in the first place. So just saying, all right, I pushed super hard. We're just going to sit on the couch and watch TV and have some snacks today and recover, and just letting that be therapeutic.
That actually leads me into a question that I always ask people who work with clients, or, well, okay, I don't ask them because I often forget, but when I do remember, I ask them. And that's like, for people, I like to ask people working with clients, like, what traits do you see amongst your clients that are common amongst people who are successful? So basically, like, what if these people are successful, they all kind of do X, Y, or Z or whatever. Like you just said, they're able to kind of accept that they need to, be okay with not doing everything, like, just it's stuff like that.
Totally. I think the first and the biggest trait that I see are people who get really comfortable with failure, and they welcome failure as a learning opportunity. I think that's the biggest. I think when people go, oh, I failed, I did it, what's wrong with me? And they start getting into that cycle, that makes it really hard. But if people go, I noticed that I had 2 really, really rough days at work. I was super busy, overwhelmed. I came home and I went absolute nuts, and I prepped food, but the food I ate just didn't sound good. I didn't eat it. I went to the store, I bought something else. And I just went absolute ham, like, if that's the story, they're like, why did I do that? I have a tool I need to develop. Can I be curious about that? Not beat myself up, because my brain did that to protect me. Like, ultimately that comes down to your brain trying to help you survive in whatever situation you're in. And if you can get curious about that, and not let it shut you down, I think that quality is probably the most powerful in my clients who do really, really well,
I think, being willing to accept failure and just being okay. Okay, hear me out here. Being okay with just being dumb sometimes. Listen, hear me out here, okay? So my car, I called around to like 7 different auto places trying to get a remote start on my car because it's cold outside. I'm trying to get a remote start on my car, right? I'm calling around. I'm trying to figure it out. I call up like the actual fucking Honda dealership. All right. And I'm like, all right, I need a road start on my car. And they're like quoting me things and stuff. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I finally get to the guy who actually works on cars. And he's like, I'm sorry, sir. What models do you have? And I'm like, it's Honda Pilot, whatever. And he's like, yeah, you've already got a remote start on your car. I had no fucking clue. No idea. And I just started bust out laughing. I'm like, holy shit. And he's like, yeah, you see that little like mostly filled circle on your fucking key fob or whatever it is? Yeah, just hit that button. I did. Boom. Car starts right up. I've been running out in the fucking cold ass weather to start the car, holding my daughter. We're both cold, running back in. This whole time I had a button right on my fucking car. I would have just paid somebody to, and I literally could have paid someone, and then they would have just been like, here you go, it's done. And I would have paid them whatever kind of money, and it would have already just been there. Like, no idea.
Oh my God.
I don't fucking know cars. I know literally diddly dick about cars, okay? And that's fine. And that's fine. I'm not a car guy. My dad fixes fucking everything in sight. I don't know how to fucking change, I barely know how to change a light bulb, right? So, like, it's okay. I'm not a handyman, all right? That's why I have,
How many Liams does it take to change a light bulb?
I do okay. I don't understand so much like the differences. Like there's LED and that's what we're supposed to be using because that's better than incandescent because that's older and takes more energy. I learned this at COSI when I take my daughter to the museum. Anyway, so like I don't know these things. So like, and then that's fine. I just you got to be okay with just being dumb sometimes and just laughing. I'd be like, I fucking cracked up. I told my wife and I was just like laughing. She didn't know either. Like neither of us knew. We were both just fucking laughing. So this whole time we had it, we were talking about it'd be so nice if we had a remote start. Had it the whole time. It's fine. It's all fine. Laugh and move on. There's no reason to get people you're like don't need to get mad about it. Anyway, that's my brain.
No, I mean, I think that's having a sense of humor too. Like, I think there's a lot of power in being self-deprecating and just like joking around with it and not getting worked up.
Holy shit, the people that take themselves so seriously.
To amalgamate everything we were talking about there, going back to a little bit to the ADHD and stuff, possibly one of the more damaging things I did was think that because the ADHD is something wrong with me, I have to get past it. I have to work on all this stuff instead of accepting that, yes, I have it and things are going to work differently. And if I can't do something the way that the normal people can do it, then that's okay. It's like, oh, whatever, I'll just do it this way. Or maybe I'll just have to find somebody to help me.
Yeah.
I need that a lot. Holy shit. One time I needed someone to help me because I locked my keys in the car and my spare key. Both of them. Don't even ask.
I asked too late.
Listen,
oh, no.
listen, okay? I had a key and I had to go into a place where I couldn't like take stuff. Like it was a long story. It's not important, okay? So I left my key in the car because I knew I had a spare key. All right. So I leave everything in the car. I come back. I get my spare key. I open the door to get my phone because I want to run in and take a picture of something. I close the door and immediately I look at both my fucking spare key and my key in the car. And I'm just like, holy shit. My girlfriend at the time never let me live that down. Never. And I was like, you know what? That's fair. Like, I understand it. But yeah, we had another key. She had to take like a taxi out. So we had 3 keys. I had fucking 3 keys for a car that I needed to get into.
At least you had the third key.
I had the third key.
Yeah.
And so like, that's a fucking day. And I think back to that often. I just laugh at it because I'm like, oh, that was stupid. Let me try not do it again. But who knows? Maybe I will. It's all fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Bars on the floor.
On the fucking floor, man. Listen, I'm an idiot and I still have a successful social media thing and a podcast and all this shit. If a dummy like me can do this, you'll be fine. Okay. Just laugh. You got to be able to laugh at yourself a little bit and be dumb and be okay with failure. Failure's fine. It helps you often. Yeah. Okay. It's cool. Chill out. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you can't learn what works for you and what doesn't unless you fail, like you can't, it's super necessary. Like, but going back to what you were saying, Rob, like my motto is always just like change the habit to fit you. Don't change to fit the habits you want to have. Like, because that's just never going to work. And I see people trying to like bash their head against the wall trying to do that. I love, like, a resource I love is, I cannot remember the name of the person. Maybe you know, but it's a book called, I think it's How to Keep House While Drowning. It's all about, like, you know, I remember the biggest takeaway that I had from that was, why am I spending all of this time trying to fold laundry when I hate doing it, and then I don't do it, and then I have piles everywhere. I wash it, and then it's just like all my laundry is like, and this, gosh, I wish I could remember the name of this, the creator. I think she focuses on like ADHD and neurodivergence, but she's like, well, why are you wasting so much energy trying to fold your laundry? Just put them in piles and move on. You know, like, like nobody cares. Nobody cares that your laundry is folded. At this point, all the materials I have are non-wrinkling anyway. So, like, why am I taking time out of my day when I could be doing something I actually enjoy doing? You know, it's like, if something is a drain just because it's like what you should do, like, throw it out the window. It's taking up space. You don't need it. Like, you only need to figure out how it works for you. And, you know, like, I don't know.
Unless that thing is keeping the kitchen clean when you have roommates. Please do that.
Yeah. That one, definitely.
Do things for other people. For yourself, fuck it. No, listen. I get people that like message me. You're like, your house looks like shit. I'm like, it does, and I'm fine with that. Like, I don't give a fuck. What am I? Oh my god, it's not clean. Who gives a shit? Like, what am I using anything over there? It's fine. Whatever. I get by. Who cares? Oh man, what was it? I don't know. You saw? I did a video the other day where it was like a woman was making a recipe, and like there was a tiny fucking hair in the cocoa powder. Like the tiniest hair, and the entire comment section was like, "Oh my god, you had a hair in your cocoa powder!" Like, who gives a fucking shit? Like, what? What? I have 3 dogs. I've got like, if you have animals, whatever. Like, why are you? God, who? That's my rant. Just like, who
hair everywhere. I got.
Yeah, cat. You got an animal.
Like, are you? Pippin just came in my door.
Yeah, like,
you want to come say hi?
Always hair everywhere. Always hair. Oh. Yeah. Again, it's just people get hung up on rules, man. Like, there's no rules.
You gotta
you think I'm not just breathing in hair? Oh, cute kitty.
And I think that comes a lot from, like, you know, like a lot of the influencers, like, in order to do these things, you have to do X, Y, and Z. Like, you have to do this. Like, that's another thing I get tagged in a lot is people like, man, eating healthy is hard. I have to eat this much protein. I have to drink this much water, but not do this. I have to do cardio, but not too intense that it's going to spike my cortisol. And then I'm not going to be able, I'm like, bro, bring it down. Like, it's fine. You don't have to do really like, you have to, like, there are some things that have to be done, but you can do them in a myriad of ways. You don't have to do these specific things. Like, make it work for you.
I hate anything that has something in it is no longer water thing going on, where coffee's not water because it's got something in it. Soda's not water because it's got something in it. It's like, no, this is water.
Seltzer's not water.
Yeah, the whole coffee is dehydrating thing. Like, it doesn't count as fluid when you're drinking it. I'm like, guys, we're losing the thread here. Yeah. I think people are visual, though. I think they're visual creatures. And when they can see on social media somebody having the life that they want to have, they're like, I got to do the things that they do. And I can see it because I can see them doing it. And they can't see the way that works for them. Like, so it's hard for them to conceptualize that, you know, because they're not imagining, well, what's the life I want to have, you know?
And then everybody on social media is only posting the highlights of the life.
But then it's like, they never pause to ask, do I actually want that life? Like, I think fitness content can be a lot like that, you know, where it's like, oh yeah, I should work out every day. But they never pause to ask if that's the mode of exercise that they actually enjoy doing. Some people love it. Some people don't. But then they try to, like, trick themselves into liking it instead of finding something that they like to do, you know? And I think there's a certain point where, you know, you do have to just do it, and the act of doing it, you might start to enjoy it. I have absolutely experienced that with strength training. I hated it at first, and now I actually really enjoy it. But so there can be a little bit of that. Like, you do have to try and, like, give it a good shake. But especially with some of these, like, influencers who are doing all these crazy things, it's like, do you really want to get in a bucket of cold water? Like,
Oh shit, man! Those ice baths and whatnot, man. That trend was weird. There's like, it's all sorts of videos. Like, oh, you want to burn calories? Just get in a cold shower. I'm like, yeah. This whole time, the obesity epidemic. No. Cold shower.
If that were true, Canada would be the most fit place in the world. We're constantly cold.
They're like, a calorie is a unit of heat measurement, so all you gotta do is make cold, and cold make fat go away, and you lean. I'm like, okay, listen, you made a lot of jumps there, and there's like, fucking, oh yeah, man.
Yeah, that's okay. That's my biggest pet peeve in nutrition, though, is like these massive logical leaps, and you see that nowhere better than like the supplement industry.
Yeah.
Where it's like they take some little teeny tiny rat study and then they draw all of these leaping conclusions to try to sell you on something.
Okay, what do you in the supplements like? Are you like, there's like, okay, these few I actually like and can be useful? Are you kind of just like, no supplements except B12 for vegans? Like, where are you landed on that?
Well, I guess we should parse out what we mean by supplement, because there's like nutritional supplements, and then there's like herbal supplements. You know what I mean? Like, gotcha. So two different things. Specifically, nutritional supplements, I think it depends on your diet and like your lab values. And I think that, look, I don't want people to stress themselves out having to eat a diet that they don't enjoy to try to get everything unsupplemented. You know, if that is causing stress for them. Like, yes, we need a variety, we need balance. It's better to get that through nutrition. But like, you know, for example, I take an omega-3 supplement, and I do that because you can get it from flax and chia. I mean, there's also a lot of questions about but let's say I wasn't vegan though. I was never a fish person. I don't like fish.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Mm-hmm. I invited you to this podcast, and you're not a fish person. Oh,
we're not going to be able to invite a lot of people. A lot of people don't like fish. Or I think you'd be surprised by how few people actually enjoy eating fish.
Yeah. It's like, I know that there are benefits to omega-3.
You're going to tell us you like pineapple on pizza.
I do. It's my favorite.
Son of a.
It's my favorite.
Man.
Sweet and salty is like, I love it. But like, am I going to make myself eat fish multiple times a week when I don't like it for the benefits of omega-3 when I could take a supplement? Because I don't like it, you know, like so I think in situations like that, it can be helpful. I think people taking a lot of supplements willy-nilly is, for the most part, it's not necessary. But also, like, I can appreciate people not wanting to put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah. And as somebody who's autistic, I do like ribbing people about the things like fish, but like I do have a lot of food aversion.
Yeah.
And so there are things that I'm just not going to eat. And it could be for the stupidest reason. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I think they're a great tool to use. But herbal supplements, there are some that show some benefit. But I think people oversell what they can accomplish.
Vastly overstated.
Just wild. Yeah, just wild.
It's always that your body needs this, and this has that, and therefore it will do all these things. It will boost your metabolism. And I always feel like, because people tag me in these videos and they're like, "Is this true?" I'm like, yes, your body needs, I don't know, magnesium for this thing, but is taking this specific form in this amount going to make you feel like a new person? Probably not. You know, so
it's small gains at best. I think I did a video on like probiotic supplements, and like one of the things that like probiotic supplements, there is some research behind, is the fact that they can help people with chronic constipation. However, the studies on that shows that it on average increases people's bowel movements. I can't remember what the figure was, but it was like by 3/4 of a bowel movement a week is the improvement.
Right,
which is like,
right.
Look, if you're going from 1 bowel movement a week to like 2 bowel movements a week, that might be significant for somebody.
Right.
But for a lot of it's not curing constipation. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like
the overselling of it.
It's the overselling. Yeah, it's the overselling is really big.
I've been getting asked about cayenne a lot lately. That seems to be coming back.
Cayenne?
Yeah, and it's like it contains like the same thing that we've isolated into aspirin, but at such a minuscule dose.
Yeah, with the dosage, yeah. Oh, what's the one? Fuck, I love the. God damn it! What's the one where they take something and then they dilute it by like one millionth, and then they dilute it again, and then they dilute it again, like over and over again, and then you drink it. It's like it's fuck. I don't remember the name of it, but that's like my favorite. They just take like one thing that's like either like toxic, and then they'll like dilute it 100 times until there's nothing left in it, and then they say this will like cure something, and that's my favorite.
Something like colloidal silver.
Oh, it's like bleach.
Fuck, I'm gonna have to look up. I don't even remember. Fuck, man. Yeah, it's but like it moves a lot of product. I guess we'll just put it that way.
Yeah, it does. It just always blows my mind though that like people are really skeptical at recommendations that have a lot of research that's put out by like larger institutions. They're like, no, not that. But they will totally buy a supplement from some guy on the internet based on one rat study. I'm like, okay,
but that guy with the rat study, he had abs.
He had abs. Yeah.
He had abs.
That's important.
Yep, I get that a lot where people will be like, yeah, but Paul Saladino looks healthier than you, or whatever, and it's like they especially base it on our skin tones. And I'm like, I live in Canada and I get 5 hours of sunlight. And if I go outside, I have to wear a winter coat. He lives in fucking Costa Rica.
Yeah.
I wonder which of us is going to get more sun.
Yeah. I've gotten that same when I've done a few videos on Paul Saladino. It's so funny because it's like half the comments are he looks sick. And then half of the comments are you look sick and he looks healthy. And it's just like, okay, but again, I live in Maine. So it's very close to Canada. I do not get a lot of sun a lot of the time. I've got freckles, so it hides that fact. But and I'm a new parent that does not get a lot of sleep. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I look tired. You would too if
he's also rich and gets to hire people to cook for him. And I swear he does not know how to cook. That last video, or one of his recent videos where he was talking about burning milk. I don't think he knows how to cook.
Right?
Yeah, well, it was part of the Oreo one. He said, if I took that torch to beef or to milk, it would instantly burn. It's like, that's not how cooking works, Paul.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that reminds me, total tangent. Have you ever seen the video of Gordon Ramsay making a grilled cheese sandwich?
I don't think I have. Gordon Ramsay. Wait, no, is that the one where he did bad and people came at him?
It was the most heinous grilled cheese sandwich I've ever seen.
Okay, I do know what you're talking about.
It's like this like super thick bread, and then he like puts these like massive slices of like super stinky cheese, and he puts like kimchi in the middle, and then he tries to cook it over the fire and he burns half of it, and then the cheese isn't melted, and he's like biting it. It's just
I did not see that. That's pretty good. Homeopathy is what I was thinking of. Like homeopathic medicine.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. I just was blanking on it. I like homeopathic medicine. It's wild. It's out there, but like it's fun. Anyway,
you know what? So my parents were very hippie parents, like anti-vax, the whole thing. And I never went. I don't remember going to a pediatrician as a kid, but I had a homeopathist. And
that's awesome. What prescriptions did you get?
Oh my gosh! It was like, you have bad dreams. Take this little remedy, and it was just like these little teeny tiny capsules that just tasted like sugar. And I was like, "Give me my sugar pills, please." And I feel like even as a kid, like I knew what was up. But yeah, that was the thing. I always have every day. I'd have my little teeny sugar balls, and I liked it.
We legit had somebody come on here. I forget who it was, but it was they were telling about how one of their friends put out a supplement, and he literally just bought sugar pills and threw them in a bottle, and because he could.
Yeah,
supplement industry, man, and people will still be like, "This changed my life."
Yep.
Yeah. Every time I do a supplement review, it's like I get those comments. No, but it really works, and I'm like, okay,
it really works.
If that's your experience, man. Keep rocking it. Whatever.
Unicity, man.
Placebo is placebo and any sort of bias like that, as soon as it sinks in, changes your mentality, changes, you're like, oh, this is going to work. So you start picking yourself up. And so, I mean, I guess if the placebo is working for you, that's great. I guess, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've gotten some comments when I've talked about the placebo effect, or people are like, so you're just calling me crazy? And I was like, oh no, the placebo effect is real. That's why we have to integrate it into studies. Like, it's not like you're not getting a benefit. You are. It's just you would have gotten a benefit if there was nothing in it too.
The human mind is powerful, sometimes in weird ways.
Yeah.
Don't worry. You'll be able to hop on our alpha water, Natalie, when we make it. It's going to be pure placebo, but it's alpha water because you ain't no beta bitch is going to be the tagline. You can hop on if you want. We'll send you some and you can sell it. You can hawk it. And we'll make a bunch of money off it. It'll be fine.
I'm so sick of being a beta bitch. So,
exactly.
I need that.
And it'll be hexagonal water that is structured. It's structured water. It's better. That's better for hydrating or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or something.
Integrates into your cells better.
Yeah.
Yes. With patented cell integration. We'll put that right on it.
Hold on. Let me write that down for the
patented cell integration. I want to throw that on there. I want to throw that on there because that's good. I like that.
But yeah, coming back around to the whole plant-based proteins, because I feel like I got beans and tofu and then we were just gone.
Yeah, I know. We kind of did just go off on. Let's finish it up with that. Because I do get asked about that a lot.
Yeah. So beans and tofu are great. I think I really enjoy some of the meat alternatives. Now, a lot of meat alternatives get a really bad rap. And again, it's just, how are they fitting into your diet? What's the rest of your diet looking like with some of those things? How do you feel eating them? I think that's a big part of it. But I personally really enjoy like seitan, soy curls, those kinds of things. They're very versatile. They're very easy to use. They're easy to season however you want to. I like those. But also, I think one of my biggest like soapbox issues that I want to hop on, that I always hop on, is that whole grains, for the most part, brown rice accepted, actually contain a good amount of protein. And a lot of people do not count that, Yeah. So like they think a bowl of pasta is just carbs. And it's not just carbs. It's like you're getting protein from a lot of different things.
I just finished a sandwich that had whole grain bread, and each slice had 6 grams of protein. So that's 12 right there. And it was peanut butter and jelly. So you'd use more than two uses fucking 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. Get the fuck out of here. And so that's, another like 10 grams at least or so. So I got over 20 grams of protein. Yeah, it's a lot of calories, but I need a lot of calories. So it's fine. Still getting over 20 grams of protein from bread and peanuts.
It's this food rule thing where people feel like something can only be a protein source if the predominant macronutrient is just protein.
Peanut butter. Can I fucking say I'm so tired of videos being like, peanut butter's not protein. Peanut butter's not protein. Like, holy shit, dude. Yes, we know it's not fucking jam-packed with protein, but like it has protein. It has 6 grams per serving. You use a couple servings. Yeah, it's a lot of calories, but like, again, it still counts. Oh, I hate that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, oatmeal can be that too. Like, pasta can be that too. Yep. Quinoa, farro, like any grains can help. So I don't know. My perception of it is, when it comes to getting enough protein, this is mostly just for your average person, not somebody who's like trying to actively build muscle bulk, because that's going to be a little bit different. But for most people, I feel like the forest gets lost in the trees a little bit, because people are focusing so much on protein. And I think that if they just focused on making sure they're eating enough to feel satisfied, and they're making sure that they're including things like beans or tofu now and again, they're probably going to do okay protein wise, ultimately, if they were to track. But I think people get so focused on the protein, and then they undereat calories still, because they're just like, okay, it's just beans and tofu and vegetables.
Yeah, you don't need 300 grams of protein a day if you're not jacked up on steroids going for the Olympia.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, also, if you are trying to build muscle, you have to eat a lot more calories too. So because it's really hard to build muscle in a calorie deficit. So I don't know, protein comes along for the ride with a lot of things, and people don't realize. Not to say that people shouldn't be concerned about protein, but I do, because I think everybody should have some thought to it. But I think that a lot of people massively underestimate how much protein that they're actually eating. And I think that if you are eating in a way that feels sustainable, and you're not super hungry all the time, and you're getting enough, and you're probably okay. If one of those things is out of whack, then maybe we put a thought to it. If you're feeling low energy and you're hungry all the time, then okay, let's be thoughtful. But in most of the cases, it's more of a quantity issue. Because I think people are so honed in on protein all the time that I think that they're probably
and
eating
fiber.
things. Fiber gets last.
95% of
Yeah,
Americans not
absolutely.
eating enough fiber. And they're like, I'll
Yeah.
just take a powder. And like, yeah, psyllium musk is fine. But how about you eat a fucking serving of beans, okay? How about you some lentils? How about a vegetable? Damn it.
Yeah. I don't know. Just make sure that like 75% of what you're eating, if you're trying to do more plant-based eating, just make sure it's not like all vegetables, because you're probably not going to feel super great if you're doing that. Like, vegetables are important. Half your plate.
Isn't that what's kind of like what's what kind of drives me crazy is when we look at like foods like healthy, unhealthy, candy bar, unhealthy, broccoli, healthy. Okay, but if you're eating like just nothing but vegetables, that shit's not healthy. That you're not going to do well on that. So how like I just don't the black and white dichotomous like healthy, unhealthy kind of drives me nuts. And like I totally get it. Americans are eating like 70% of their calorie from ultra processed foods. So for most people, introducing broccoli would be a healthy choice. Totally. But like when you're looking at it in the individual, it kind of drives me a little crazy just to have this kind of black and white.
It's really annoying during videos when people are like, this one food is super blah 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 superfood. You need a lot of this in your diet. It's like, we don't eat like that. We eat a variety of foods.
Variety's better. Like what's the best, like having multiple, like I don't know, it's just frustrating, like especially for me when I got into my like really serious about health. I was looking up like the best food, like what are the healthiest foods, the most nutrient dense foods, and then I was like trying to eat mostly like, I'd pick one, I'm gonna eat a lot of that. It's like that's not as healthy as just having some of this other food that isn't as nutrient dense, but it has other things in it and it balances it out. So it's just eating variety of foods.
Whenever I get that question of, is this healthy? Is that healthy? Is this healthy? Is that my question is always compared to what?
Depends.
Because like, compared to what? Like if you take potato chips, for example, a lot of people would probably agree that that's ultimately not the most
it's unhealthy,
quote unquote healthy food. But if what you were doing before is not eating, well,
like I mean,
potato
a lot of
chips are healthier
patients
than
like
that.
on chemo, they're like their food drive is gone. Like, when you're going through chemotherapy, you're not hungry. And so that's why you remember that whole like Paul Saldino when he was talking about like the hospital food and like everyone got pissed off, understandably because we're like, okay, when you are like on chemotherapy and you don't feel like eating anything, if you can get any food in, no matter what ultra processed food it is, that's going to be healthier than not having any food, because you need more calories when you're growing, when you're pregnant and growing other things, when you're sick, you need more calories to support those things. So
and there's a fair amount of people that have been asking
in a hospital
about
in like a level 1 trauma center.
You go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, I was just saying, one of my many jobs is I worked in a level 1 trauma center for a while, inpatient as a dietitian. And there's a lot of people who have no appetite and they have horrible wounds or they've had surgery and they have really high calorie needs and they just can't eat for whatever reason. And honestly, it was like, all right, what would you like? Would you like a massive slice of cake? I will bring you a massive slice of cake. Right. Would you like to take an Ensure and you want me to put ice cream in that? Would that sound good to you? And honestly, like, doing those things took people from having really bad wounds that were not healing to healing and being able to leave the hospital. And cake and ice cream did that. Like,
it's all energy, people. It's all, you need energy. You need that.
So again, the question is compared to what?
There's a lot of people on the internet that are, of course, trying to lose weight, but there's a fair amount of people that are trying to put on weight, and they're seeing these videos that chips are unhealthy, ice cream's unhealthy, all this stuff. And sometimes it's like, okay, maybe you just need to have some chips and ice cream. You're doing everything else right. You're just not getting enough calories.
You need more I think people just forget that food is energy and you need it. Like it just becomes like a transactional thing with weight is like how I think a lot of people view food, not as like what it gives you and the fact we do need energy. The goal shouldn't be to minimize energy as much as possible.
Yeah. Anyway, anything else you wanted to touch on before we finish up here? Anything we didn't bring up?
Me or Rob?
To you, Natalie. Anything that we? I guess both. Well, no, not Rob. No, just you.
not me. Not me.
Rob doesn't get not in this one.
No.
I don't know. I think it's a good conversation. I feel like I think that's good.
set the bar low, celebrate your
Yeah.
small successes. Don't beat yourself up. Don't be afraid to be dumb. It's totally. Don't be afraid to get phone calls when you're on a podcast. Shut up. What my ringtone is beans, you know, like beans, the magic fruit or the musical
I
fruit,
love
all that
that.
stuff. Yeah. Oh man, I fucking love beans, man. They're so cheap too. Anyway, I'm not gonna get off on a beans
The
tangent. Beans
takeaway
are
of this
great.
podcast is eat more beans.
Eat more fucking beans, man.
Eat more beans. Eat more beans, indeed. Beans are great.
I just made for a video black bean brownies. Oh man, I think you'll get a kick out of it. I think you both will get a kick out of it because there's this guy. It's fucking hilarious. Where like, oh, you know, little sipper. Fuck that
Yep.
woman. God damn. I'm glad she blocked me. I don't see any more her videos. It's awesome. But like, she made this video where like she's like, you probably already have these things in your house to make these brownies. First, put figs, hemp seeds, and like extra virgin olive oil in a cup, and there's a guy who stitched it. He's like, of course I have figs and hemp seeds. They're right next to my cauliflower taints and frog toenails. Like, who the fuck has these things? And I'm just like dying laughing. It's so funny. He's like, you're fucking eating brownies made by fairies, and I'm sitting over here eating Little Debbie's that are taking years off my life. Very funny. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, let me show you. Here's a can of brownie mix, and you take a can of black beans and you blend it up and you put it into the brownie mix. There you go, black bean brownies. You don't taste it. It adds fiber. It adds fucking micronutrients and shit like that. Is it as healthy? Is it as quote unquote healthy as
Liam,
fucking figs and hemp seeds? Maybe not.
Liam, blending it breaks it up, and it doesn't work. You're destroying everything with the blending.
I know the blend. I do love the fucking when you blend stuff, it goes away forever. Like, where does it go? Like, what does it just disappear into the ethos? Like, what the fuck do you think happens? Oh god. But yeah, so like add beans into like a fucking brownie mix. There you go. There's your beans. You don't even taste them. Eat more beans.
Yeah, I'm gonna look forward to that because that sounds like a good recipe.
It's
I love black bean brownies. They're great. They're like fudgier, right? Which I personally like. They're awesome.
They're good. Like, yeah, man. Or you blend white beans into sauces. That's really good too. I like blending like white beans into sauces.
You could do really good like blondies with chickpeas. That's like one of my favorites.
Ooh.
I've made some chickpea like the like cookies. It was like with tahini and like chickpeas and like stuff like that. I don't know if I made blondies, but I could definitely see that. Or cookie dough, chickpea cookie dough. I've seen that. I've done a few of those. Like that. So.
I make that sometimes. I'll make like little cookie dough bites that I'll keep in the fridge, which is great because, like, you know, I feel like a lot of times if I want a snack, I want something sweet. That's where my brain likes to go. So if I can get some extra nutrition in that and it makes me feel more satisfied, win.
Yeah.
You ever done any chickpeas in the Ninja Creamy?
No, I've definitely never put beans in my Ninja Creamy. I promise you that. When like you just throw the whole, like you put anything else in there, or are we just doing chicken?
I have no idea. You're the one that's had the Ninja Creamy for.
I have never put. I put grapes in there. That shit's banging. Like you just put frozen grapes in the Ninja Creamy, and you add a little lime juice and honey. Oh, it's like it turns into an awesome sorbet. Yeah, frozen grapes, honey, lime juice. That's it. In the Ninja Creamy, whole. Like you don't have to blend them up. Just throw whole ones in there. Top it up. I've had that a few times. It's great. That's one of my favorites. I got frozen grapes in the freezer right now, and I've fucking the amount of videos I've also got tagging grapes so much sugar. Shut the hell up.
Oh no, fruit has sugar.
Oh, the fruit has sugar in it, and sugar turns to fat. What the?
The contradiction that cracks me up is that don't have grapes because it's too much sugar, but drink red wine because it's healthy.
Oh, the red wine.
God.
Yeah,
that juxtaposition cracks me up a little bit.
Yeah.
Wine is healthy, yeah. I feel like that's slowly dying off a little bit, but like it's still around.
It's good in there, but
it's still around for sure.
Especially when a grifter has a promo code for wine.
Fucking.
Yeah.
Don't eat seed oils, but here's your fucking known toxic substance, class 1 carcinogen, no problem. It's fucking approved.
And if you mix it with my electrolytes, it won't dehydrate you.
Oh, bro, I haven't done it yet, but I still got to do this video. There's fucking with Bobby, and he's like, oh, if you see the electrolytes at Costco, they're not very good. Check out these ones. And he pulls his own electrolytes from a storage thing next to the liquid IVs. And I'm like, that's so great. pulling it out, like pretending like they sell it. Like, oh, you just come over here. Like, he doesn't say they sell it because he's not. You're not lying that way. You're just like pulling it out from the the next to the other stuff. Like, that's so great. I love that. I think I've talked about it before. I love the way the lengths grifters will go. I just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, have you ever come across Dr. Berg? He's
Who hasn't come across Dr. Berg?
He does this whole thing. Gosh, it's a video I've been like thinking about doing for a long time, but his opinions on water are wild.
Oh yeah.
Wait, I don't know if I've seen water. What's he do?
Oh gosh, so many. So first he's just like, oh, you should do water fasting. And then he's like, oh, we're all drinking too much water. And if you have a water bottle with you all the time, you're going to go into a coma.
Okay.
Because that's totally how that works. But then he's just like, yeah, okay, so you should be drinking mineral water because you need the minerals. And then he's like, no, you should be drinking distilled water because you don't want all the minerals, but we want some minerals. So what you got to do is you have to get the distilled water and then put my electrolyte mix.
This is why people are so confused because there's all these fucking rules. Holy shit, yes.
Well, and then he does this whole thing with like kidney disease, which is just wild, where he's just like, see, you don't want to drink the distilled water because you don't want too much calcium, because having too much calcium causes kidney stones, which is why you want to put in just the right electrolytes in so you don't get too much calcium. And then in the mineral water video, he's like, you do want it because it has calcium, and if you get more calcium, it'll help prevent kidney stones. And I'm just like,
so good. My favorite. No. I did one. I loved where he's just like, if this is what would happen if you consume turmeric every day. Those are my favorite because he's like, it'll protect you from pollution. If you don't have enough inflammation, it will create inflammation. If you have too much inflammation, it will reduce inflammation. And it's just the wildest fucking takes. Like, it's so out there. And of course, he sells turmeric for like $28 a bottle. Like, I'm like, this stuff is so cheap.
Yep.
You can buy like pounds of it for like $8, and he's selling little capsules of it for like close to $30. Like, and people are telling me that, like, oh, he's just trying to make people healthy. I'm like, he's trying to fucking make his wall as fat as shit as possible. That's what he's trying to do. Fucking chiropractor Berg. I'm a doctor.
Yeah, it's just wild stuff. And then he was like, okay, dry fasting. You got to dry fast. Like, don't
eat or drink anything.
It's nothing for 36 hours. You will feel amazing.
Oh, he had one video where he was just like, oh, the American Heart Association isn't concerned with cholesterol anymore. Said, don't worry about cholesterol. And he got confused between dietary cholesterol and blood cholesterol. I'm like, how do you even fucking do that? That's like a massive difference. And it was, I was like, I can't even believe, like, even his level of dumb, how do you even get there? Oh, Dr. Berg. Yeah. Great one. Not as good as Gary Brecka. Gary Brecka is my favorite, but Dr. Berg's.
Liam has a little bit of a crush on Gary Brecka.
I have a good amount of admiration for his ability to grift. It's just so good. He's a good, was a con man, comes from confidence, right? He's got the confidence. He's got that. And I'm saying
he really does.
He really does. Yeah. On stage, he's one of the best people on stage I've ever seen. I've truly go watch some. Seriously, now, if you haven't watched him, I'll send some to you where he's just on stage.
Yeah,
like,
I don't think I have.
Okay, I'll send it to you. He's like, I'm going to teach you more in 5 minutes about this disease than every doctor's ever talked to you in your entire life. And then boom, 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 and he's got a whiteboard. People love whiteboards. Write things on. And
I know who you're talking about. Yes.
I was going to say, you'll probably know as soon as you see it.
It's so whiteboard. Good. He's got all the pieces. He's got all the pieces down, like A+. Like, that's the only person I would give like A+ on grifting. There's not a single thing where I'm like, no, he should do this instead of that. He's doing every grifting thing right. So good. It's so good.
There should be like a
too.
Yeah.
He sells a portable ice tub, and he says getting in cold water will burn more calories than will strip fat off your body faster than anything else. I'm like, it's so good. I love it. I mean, it's terrible, but like, I love it.
Well, it's okay, because once you guys take over Canada, you'll have all the frozen water you need.
Oh my God.
Are we going to become collectively nicer as a whole country once we take over Canada? Will the niceness just go up a notch?
I doubt it. I feel like you guys are just going to get more angry because you're going to experience our healthcare system.
You might lose. You're going to lose healthcare. That's going to fucking suck. Sorry, Rob.
I'll no longer be able to break a limb and just go to the hospital.
You can. You just will get charged $80,000. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway. Well, thanks for coming on. Might make sure you tell people where to find you when they want to
And make sure that you brag that you were on episode 69.
Holy shit, we forgot it was episode 69 this whole time. And I didn't even start it. Damn it. No. All right. Can we start? All right. Put this at the beginning, Rob. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 69 that I totally remembered. Damn it.
I feel so
mad. I'm done.
honored.
I'm leaving right now. I'm hopping off the podcast. I'm so mad that I forgot. Fuck. We've been doing this whole time, Natalie. We've been doing 69 minus 2, 69 minus 1, and then this is gonna be our BC, like our zero.
Been throwing in puns this whole time.
Fuck, we got to start this whole podcast over. Re-record.
From the top. But yeah, if people want to find me, I am on TikTok for however long TikTok is. I don't know. It's a weird place.
Oh, no.
I'm on YouTube. And I just started doing Instagram begrudgingly because of the whole TikTok thing. So it's crickets there if anyone wants to join me. It'll be a good time. I also have a newsletter if people are wanting more resources around neurodivergence and binge eating specifically. I have a monthly newsletter where I send out stuff that are like tools, tips, tricks, those kinds of exclusive things.
Where do they find
that's
that?
another option too.
Web,
there's a link in bio on all of my socials for that. So that's probably the easiest place to find it if you go to
I think you told us the platforms, but I don't think you told us the username.
Yeah,
I'm so good at that.
I was going to say,
it's Natalie Fox RD for all of those.
Okay.
I think with Instagram it's natalie.fox.rd. But
I feel it I got like fucking underscores and shit on Instagram. I don't give a shit. I just throw it all up and it worked. Listen, I just hit 1 million followers on Instagram, okay? I don't know how that
Congratulations.
shit worked. No idea how it worked, but it did.
You're a big deal now.
Apparently. Hi, Oakley. How you doing? We're just finishing.
When are we going to have Liam Con?
What, like I have a whole like Comic-Con thing with just me?
Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool. Do people dress up like me? Do they all have to wear a soul patch? I like the sound of this.
Okay,
this
that's amazing.
Cool.
This is happening. Liam Con.
Soul patch is mandatory. Okay. All right. Well, everybody say bye. Bye. Oakley says bye. You have anything to tell people, Oakley, before we go? Yeah. I agree.
There we go. Good job, Oakley.
Hey, wasn't that a great time listening to the podcast? I'm assuming you were just listening to In Moderation. So if you go ahead and hit the 5-star button, is that a thing? The like button?
That's a thing.
Yep. The like button
5
on YouTube.
stars.
If you're on YouTube, hit the like button. Not the dislike button. That's a bad button. The
Bad
like
button.
Bad
Don't
button.
touch.
Hit all the other buttons. The share. You can go check out
all those things.
Subscribe. Go check out our Patreon. Yeah. We do have a Patreon. It's free to join if you want, or you could give us some money. That'd be really cool, like $1 or $2. It doesn't matter. Whatever you have.
That's where you'll find all the news for this.
We're super appreciative. You can find all sorts of other stuff there. We do giveaways. I think sometimes.
Sometimes.
All that good. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, peace.